If talking about pain isn't enough, can singing with others help a person move through grief? A room full of people singing in harmony offers more than just music. It provides a way to break through the numbness of modern despair. Writing for Vox on 14 July 2026, the author frames communal song as a physical ritual for grief. The focus stays off vocal talent or performance, looking instead at the way shared rhythm pulls a person out of isolation. When the headlines feel too heavy to carry, the most effective response might not be a speech, but a song. Written by Casper ter Kuile in Vox. Narrated for Arva. I used to think I could change the world. How singing with other people can help you move through grief and despair. When you feel terrible or just numb, singing can be easier than talking. More than that, because I felt the responsibility to do it. I was 22 when I helped lead a delegation of young people to the United Nations. There, we pressured presidents and prime ministers to reduce carbon emissions, hoping to prevent the horrors of rising sea levels and catastrophic heat waves. Strangely, although I was immersed in the distressing climate science and the details of international policy negotiations, what I remember most from that time is my own sense of agency. If we organized, if we took action, I knew we could protect the beautiful world we loved. I don't feel that so much anymore. Though I'm not yet 40 and still going through the motions of voting and donating to causes and candidates doing good, my heart has been crushed by the headlines lately. I feel defeated. Rather than believing my choices can shape the world around me, I oscillate between sadness and cynicism, numbing myself by eating a lot of chocolate cookies. If you too suffer from Weltschmerz, as the Germans call the despair at the state of the world, or if something else, like a death or divorce, has you feeling low, it might be time to pause on taking action and give in to the grief. Religious traditions have long centered grieving rituals amid the happier celebrations and festivals in their calendar. Entire sacred texts consist of lamentation, crying out to the divine in dismay. Walter Brueggemann, a scholar of the Hebrew Bible, explained in 2020 that lament is not just an expression of sadness. He said, "Lament is the breaking of numbness by the admission of pain and loss. In a culture where grief is still seen as unseemly or inconvenient, and people are encouraged to be strong and move on quickly, this ancient wisdom teaches us that we have to cry out if we want to retrieve a sense of hope and possibility. As Brueggemann writes, only those who embrace the reality of death will receive the new life." But how do we do it? Where can we go to weep and mourn? And how do I get out of my own way? I'm pretty good at talking about the sadness and the anger and the pain. I can understand the therapeutic need to grieve. But actually doing it? Turns out I suck at that. Then, just recently, a portal opened. I'd gathered a group of friends for my monthly singing night, a chance to make music together for the joy of participation rather than performance. We sing simple rounds and folk songs, harmonizing where we can, and always close with a rousing rendition of an old Shape Note song in 4-part harmony. After putting the foldable chairs away and clearing the wine glasses into the dishwasher, a few of us lingered behind. Inspiration struck, and I shared my heartache about the latest horror from the White House. One by one, others started to share their pain too. And then Matthew, a particularly talented musical improviser, got behind the piano to sing his sadness. His voice jumped from one note to another, and suddenly my eyes filled with tears, and my heart filled with life. Something was shifting. Ale Blakely is not surprised by this, not at all. Blakely is a modern-day grief ritualist, songwriter, and facilitator. She sees herself as a professional mourner, hosting retreats and gatherings that help people touch their grief in tender and radical ways. Singing with people is often a gateway to deeper work with grief, she explained to me. Because so many of us have a sense that our voices aren't good enough, singing immediately makes us vulnerable, opening us to the deeper pain we might be avoiding in our everyday lives. Singing, Blakely said, is not about what it sounds like at all, it's what it feels like in your body. Blakely's insight into the power of communal singing led her to create an entire album of grief songs with some 200 amateur singers, and that listeners like us can join in with. Its purpose is nothing less than the re-enchantment of the human soul. A study from 2014 shows there might be a scientific explanation for this. Musicologist Günter Kreutz conducted an experiment with amateur choral singers in which he measured oxytocin levels across two contexts: before and after a 30-minute choir rehearsal, and before and after an informal conversation with another choir member. Remarkably, oxytocin, which is sometimes described as the love hormone, increased only during group singing, not during ordinary social interaction. In other words, singing enhances our well-being and connects us to others more effectively than conversation alone. But that magic doesn't come by moving through the grief, processing it and moving on. No, insists Blakely, people often are trying to get over their grief, and grief is just as powerful and potent as happiness and laughter. Are we trying to get over our laughter? Are we trying to get over our happiness? Blakely wants us to court grief as an ally. Carla Fernandez, author of Renegade Grief, agrees. For her, grief is not something to overcome, but to befriend. Whatever our assumptions about falling apart, grief, she told me, is not messy. It's wildly fertile.
When we don't go there, we miss out on such fecundity from which real relationships can grow and solutions can form and ideas can emerge. In other words, grief isn't a dangerous can of worms, but the soil from which new life can grow. That's what I felt sitting on my living room carpet as my friends and I sang together. And if you don't have a crew to do that with yet, start by singing along to music that helps you open up to grief. Laurel Primo's Laments is another great grieving album. Or you can just make up sounds to this digital chord-creating Shruti box. Remember Blakely's advice. This isn't about how you sound. It's about how it feels in your body. If it feels like something is moving in your heart, keep singing. Maybe this practice of collective singing is what we need more of in our political spaces, too. The success of the singing resistance in Minneapolis earlier this year was a testament to what music can do to mobilize people for collective action and bear witness to injustice in a way that keeps us hopeful and aware of the power we have to do good. Who knows? Maybe singing will find its way back to cross political divides, too. One candidate in Iowa is starting every town hall by having people sing America the Beautiful to remind them that whatever their differences, they can create beauty together. Heidi Wilson, the composer of Hold On, which has become somewhat of an anthem in the singing resistance movement, puts it best. Grief is about feeling cut off from something, losing something, and singing is an experience of reconnecting. I think that's what we're all looking for now. In fact, it might be the only way forward.